Before we begin, I need you to know that everything shared in this video is for general educational and informational purposes only. It is not medical advice, not a diagnosis, and not a replacement for guidance from your own doctor. I am Dr. James Miller, and I have spent decades working specifically with adults over the age of 65. Always consult your physician before making any changes to your health routine. If you are experiencing a medical emergency right now, call 911 immediately. Now, let us get into something that I know is affecting you, possibly every single morning before your feet even touch the floor. I want you to think about something. When was the last time you woke up feeling completely clear? No heaviness at the back of your throat. No desperate urge to clear it before you spoke your first word. No thick, stubborn sensation sitting right there, just above where you swallow, that no amount of coughing or water seems to fully remove. Can you even remember a morning like that recently? Because if you are over 65 and you experience that feeling every single day, you are not imagining it, you are not being dramatic, and you are absolutely not alone. Millions of seniors deal with this exact problem, and most of them have been given the same useless answers. Their doctor said it was allergies, or post-nasal drip, or acid reflux. They were handed an antihistamine or a nasal spray and sent home. And the mucus came right back, every single morning, without fail. Here is the truth. Those treatments keep failing because they are treating the wrong thing entirely. The real cause of that persistent mucus sensation in your throat after 65 is almost never what you think it is. It is not seasonal allergies. It is not a lingering cold. And in most cases, it does not even originate in your nose or sinuses at all. Today, I am going to show you exactly what changes inside your body after 65 that creates this problem. I am going to explain why the most common treatments actually make things worse. And I am going to give you a simple, inexpensive daily ritual, one rooted in both modern science and the habits of one of the world's longest living populations that can genuinely transform the way you feel every single morning. Stay with me all the way through, because the most important detail, the one that determines whether this actually works, comes near the very end. Let us start inside your body. Imagine the entire inner lining of your throat, from the back of your nasal passage all the way down through your voice box and into your upper esophagus. Every millimeter of that pathway is coated with something called the mucous membrane, and that membrane has one primary job. It protects you. It produces a constant thin layer of mucus that traps incoming particles, dust, bacteria, and pollen. When you are younger, this mucus is so thin and so efficiently managed by thousands of tiny hair-like structures called cilia that you never feel it. Those cilia beat rhythmically, like synchronized oars, sweeping mucus quietly downward where you swallow it without ever noticing. The system works silently and perfectly until age starts changing the rules. After 65, 3 separate biological shifts occur simultaneously, and it is the combination of all 3 happening at the same time that creates that miserable morning sensation. Not one alone, all 3 together. That is why a single allergy pill never fully resolves it. The first shift is this. The mucus your body produces changes its physical consistency. Think about the difference between water and honey. Water flows freely, drains fast, and disappears. Honey is thick, slow, clingy, and stays put. After 65, the glands in your throat gradually shift their mucus output from something closer to water towards something closer to honey. The proteins that make up mucus become longer, more tangled, and more adhesive. This thicker mucus does not drain easily at night. It pools at the back of your throat and greets you with that awful feeling every single morning. The second shift is something almost no general practitioner mentions, and it quietly frustrates millions of seniors every single day. The muscles responsible for swallowing, the entire coordinated network in your throat and upper esophagus, lose both strength and coordination as you age. Neurologists and swallowing specialists call this presbyophagia. It is the age-related decline of the swallowing mechanism. Completely normal physiology, but the consequence is real. When your swallowing coordination slows even slightly, mucus that should be cleared naturally instead lingers far longer than it should. Think of cars backed up at a toll booth. The traffic is moving, but something at the end is slowing the flow. Mucus accumulates, and you feel every single drop of it. The third shift explains why, in many seniors, the feeling of mucus is dramatically out of proportion to how much is actually present. That shift involves the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the longest nerve in the human body. It runs from your brainstem through your neck, past your voice box, through your chest, and all the way down to your abdomen. In many adults over 65, this nerve, particularly in the region of the throat and larynx, becomes hypersensitive. Imagine a home security system accidentally turned to maximum sensitivity. A properly calibrated system sounds the alarm when an intruder breaks in, but an oversensitive one fires when a butterfly lands on the window. The alarm is real, the panic is real, but the threat is wildly disproportionate. That is exactly what happens in your throat. Tiny, completely normal amounts of mucus trigger an overwhelming sensation of fullness and irritation. Your brain interprets it as a serious blockage. The urge to clear is powerful. But the mucus was never the crisis. The nerve sensitivity is. Ear, nose, and throat specialists call this laryngopharyngeal hypersensitivity syndrome, and it is one of the most underdiagnosed conditions in the over 65 population. Now I want to tell you about the hidden culprit that ties all of this together. Something almost every senior with chronic throat mucus has, and almost none of them know about. It has no heartburn, no chest burning, no sour taste whatsoever. It is called silent reflux, and gastroenterologists call it laryngopharyngeal reflux, or LPR. Between your esophagus and your stomach, there is a muscular valve called the lower esophageal sphincter. Think of it as a one-way door keeping stomach contents from rising. When you are young, this valve is strong and reliable. After 65, like all muscles, it loses tone. In tiny, microscopic amounts, stomach acid drifts upward, not enough to cause classic heartburn, not enough to wake you, but enough to reach the delicate lining of your upper throat. And when even a trace of acid touches that tissue, the membrane produces more mucus as a defensive barrier. That extra mucus is what you feel every morning, because silent reflux events happen most frequently at night, when you are horizontal and gravity is no longer working in your favor. Standard reflux tests are designed to detect classic heartburn, not silent throat reflux. Many seniors have been told their tests came back completely normal, while silent reflux has been happening every single night, quietly triggering mucus production without anyone knowing. One more layer: dehydration. Not severe dehydration. Mild, chronic, barely noticeable underhydration that affects the majority of adults over 65 every single day. Research has documented that the brain's thirst signaling mechanism deteriorates with age. Many seniors reach measurable cellular dehydration before feeling any thirst at all. And when your body is chronically underhydrated, mucus loses its fluidity. Think of paint as it dries. Fresh paint is smooth and fluid. Leave it overnight and it becomes stiff and immovable. Mucus in a dehydrated senior throat behaves exactly the same way. It thickens, stiffens, and clings. No amount of aggressive clearing resolves it. And speaking of clearing, here is something critical. Every time you forcefully clear your throat, your vocal folds slam together at high velocity, creating microtrauma to the mucosal lining. Damaged tissue responds by producing more mucus as protection. You feel it, you clear, tissue produces more, you feel it again. It is a perfectly self-perpetuating cycle, and most seniors have been trapped in it for years, unknowingly feeding the very problem they are trying to eliminate. So now you understand the full picture. Thickened mucus from age-related changes, slowed clearance from presbyophagia, heightened sensation from vagal hypersensitivity, silent reflux depositing microacid overnight, chronic dehydration concentrating mucus further, and a clearing habit that perpetuates everything. These are the real causes. Now let me give you the real solution. I want to take you briefly to Okinawa, Japan, one of the world's famous blue zones where people live the longest and remain the healthiest into very advanced age. Researchers have noted for decades that chronic throat mucus and laryngopharyngeal irritation so common in Western seniors is significantly less prevalent among traditional elderly Okinawans. Initially, genetics was assumed. But when Okinawan descendants who adopted Western lifestyles were studied, they developed the same mucus patterns as any other Western senior. The protection was not genetic. It came down to specific daily habits. Inexpensive, simple habits that take under 15 minutes combined each morning. And today, I am giving them all to you. The first habit centers on one specific root: fresh turmeric, grated directly into warm water and consumed first thing every morning before anything else. Turmeric contains a compound called curcumin. Curcumin modulates a molecular pathway called NF-κB, which is essentially the alarm switch that triggers inflammatory responses in mucosal tissue. When NF-κB is overactive, the mucosa produces excess mucus as part of a chronic low-grade inflammatory response. Curcumin calms that alarm switch significantly. It also protects the lining of the esophagus and throat from microdamage caused by silent acid reflux, reducing the inflammatory trigger for excess mucus. And published nutritional neuroscience research has documented curcumin's ability to reduce inflammatory activity in sensory nerve tissue. The hypersensitive vagus nerve is in a state of low-grade neuroinflammation. Curcumin gradually calms that state, turning down the sensitivity of those laryngeal nerve endings so your throat stops over-reporting mucus that was never truly a crisis. Fresh ginger is the second component, added to the same warm morning drink. Ginger contains bioactive compounds called gingerols and shogaols. These act on something called TRPV1 receptors, the primary sensory irritation detectors in the mucous membrane of your throat. In a sensitized senior throat, these detectors have a dangerously low threshold. They fire in response to normal benign stimulation. Gingerols and shogaols are among the very few natural compounds shown to directly recalibrate TRPV1 receptor activity, raising that threshold back toward normal. Ginger also promotes faster gastric emptying, helping your stomach clear downward more efficiently. This directly reduces internal stomach pressure overnight and significantly lowers the frequency of silent reflux events. The third component is the temperature of the water itself. Warm water between 105 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Research in the scientific study of swallowing confirms that warm fluid in the morning directly improves the muscle coordination of the pharyngeal and esophageal musculature. It counteracts presbyphagia in the short term. It promotes peristalsis, the rhythmic contractions that move substances through the esophagus, so mucus that accumulated overnight drains naturally. Cold water, by contrast, causes throat muscles to contract, slows mucus drainage, and can trigger additional mucus production as a warming response. Many seniors start their morning with cold refrigerator water. For someone with chronic throat mucus, that is one of the most counterproductive choices at that specific moment of the day. Now let me walk you through the complete protocol step by step. Step 1 happens the night before. Stop eating at least 3 hours before sleep. When food remains in the stomach as you lie down, gastric pressure elevates and silent acid migration becomes far more likely overnight. If you sleep at 10, finish eating by 7. If you sleep at midnight, finish by 9. This one change alone produces noticeable improvement in morning mucus for most seniors within the first week. Step 2, also before sleep. Elevate the head of your bed by exactly 6 inches, not with extra pillows, which bend you at the waist and can worsen abdominal pressure. Use a firm wedge under the mattress itself or wooden blocks under the front legs of the bed frame. 6 inches is the elevation most consistently supported by reflux research. Also sleep on your left side. The anatomy of the stomach curves left, so left side sleeping keeps the esophageal opening above the stomach's fluid level, making acid migration far less likely. Step 3. Immediately upon waking. Do not clear your throat aggressively the moment your eyes open. Instead, perform a dry swallow sequence. Close your mouth, take a slow breath through your nose, then swallow quietly and deliberately. Wait 3 seconds. Swallow once more. These 2 gentle swallows move accumulated overnight mucus downward, exactly as your body was designed to handle it, without traumatizing the vocal folds and without triggering additional mucus production. Make this your new first act every single morning. Step 4 is your morning drink. Prepare it fresh every day. Heat 1.5 cups of water to between 105 and 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Warm like a comfortable bath, never hot enough to sting. Add 1/2 teaspoon of freshly grated turmeric root or pure turmeric powder. Add 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grated ginger or ground ginger. Add 1 full teaspoon of raw honey. Raw honey retains enzymatic content with additional anti-inflammatory activity in mucosal tissue that processed honey loses through heat treatment. Add a small squeeze of fresh lemon juice. Lemon acts as a mild mucolytic, chemically helping break down the adhesive bonds that make mucus thick. Finally, and this is the step most people skip entirely, add one very small pinch of freshly ground black pepper. Black pepper contains a compound called piperine. Published biochemistry research has shown piperine increases the bioavailability of curcumin by close to 2,000%. Without it, most of the curcumin passes through your body before being absorbed. With it, your body uses nearly all of it. One tiny pinch from the spice rack already in your kitchen transforms this drink from moderately helpful to genuinely powerful. Stir well for 30 full seconds and sip it slowly over 10 to 15 minutes, deliberately coating your throat with every sip. Step 5. 30 minutes after breakfast. Your steam session. Boil 2 cups of water, pour into a wide bowl, and add exactly 3 drops of eucalyptus essential oil. Eucalyptus contains a compound called eucalyptol, studied in multiple clinical trials for its ability to reduce mucus viscosity by disrupting the chemical bonds that make mucus thick. Drape a towel over your head and the bowl. Breathe in gently through your nose, out through your mouth. Do this for 8 minutes with a timer. After finishing, wait 2 full minutes before attempting to clear your throat. Let the thinned mucus begin draining passively. Then perform 2 gentle swallows. The difference you will feel is immediate. Step 6. Throughout your day. Stop trusting thirst to tell you when to drink water. Schedule it instead. At 9 in the morning, drink 8 ounces of room temperature water. At 11, another 8 ounces. At 1 in the afternoon, 8 ounces. At 3, your final 8 ounces. Stop all fluids at least 2 hours before bed to avoid elevating overnight gastric pressure. This gives you 40 ounces distributed across your active day, enough to keep mucus consistently thin and drainable. Step 7. Your diet. Reduce or eliminate caffeinated coffee first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Caffeine is one of the most potent relaxants of the esophageal valve. Reduce tomato-based products, consistently ranked among the top silent reflux triggers in seniors. Reduce chocolate, which contains both caffeine and theobromine, both of which weaken the valve independently. Eliminate carbonated beverages, as gas increases internal stomach pressure and pushes acid upward. Reduce alcohol, which measurably lowers valve tone for up to 4 hours even after a single glass. On the positive side, increase bananas for their natural antacid and coating effect on the esophageal lining. Eat more oatmeal, which soothes the entire upper digestive tract. Add fennel to reduce gastric acid secretion naturally, and eat cucumber regularly for its outstanding mucosal hydration properties. Here is what to expect. In the first 3 to 5 days, the warm morning drink begins soothing vagal nerve irritation, and most people notice their morning mucus sensation is somewhat less intense. The sleep positioning changes typically show results within 5 to 7 days. Between days 10 and 14, most people report significant reduction in morning mucus. By weeks 3 and 4, curcumin and ginger have reached therapeutic levels in the mucosal tissue, and the deeper changes, reduced NF-κB activity, normalized TRPV1 receptor sensitivity, and improved esophageal tissue integrity, begin to consolidate. Full, consistent relief typically develops between days 21 and 30. Do not stop at day 12 because you feel better. Surface-level improvement comes first. Deep tissue healing takes the full 30 days. Commit completely. Then reassess. I want to close by telling you something I have believed throughout my entire career. The human body, even at 70, even at 80, retains a remarkable capacity for healing when you give it the right inputs consistently. The changes we discussed today, the thickening mucus, the slowing swallowing reflex, the sensitized vagus nerve, the weakened esophageal valve, all of these are natural physiological processes. But natural does not mean permanent, and it does not mean untreatable. When you give your body what it actually needs, the inflammation quiets, the nerve recalibrates, the tissue heals, the mucus thins, and the mornings change. You have been dealing with this for months, possibly years. You were told it was just aging. You were given medications that addressed symptoms without ever touching the cause. Now you have the actual biology. The next step is entirely in your hands. I want to remind you once more before we finish. Everything shared today is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not personalized medical advice. Your own physician knows your full health history, your current medications, and your individual situation in ways I cannot through a video. Please speak with your healthcare provider before beginning this or any new health protocol, particularly if you manage chronic conditions or take prescription medications. Now, if you found this valuable today, stay just a little longer, because there is something closely connected to what we discussed that causes even more alarm among seniors. Have you ever woken at 2 or 3 in the morning with your heart beating strangely? Not pain, just a sudden, unsettling awareness of your own heartbeat, perhaps fluttering briefly, then returning to normal. Most people immediately fear a serious heart problem. But cardiologists who specialize in arrhythmia research have documented that in a significant majority of older adults, those nighttime palpitations have almost nothing to do with the heart itself. They are driven by the same vagus nerve we discussed today, interacting with the digestive system and the position of the body during sleep. There is a specific 5-minute breathing protocol studied in longevity research communities that dramatically reduces their frequency. I will walk you through every detail in my next video. Keep watching, keep learning, and remember, aging well is not about luck. It is about knowledge, and today you have more of it than you did 20 minutes ago. I am Dr. James Miller. Take exceptional care of yourself. You have absolutely earned it.